this is spinning, I'm going to read off some Wikipedia information here. The Musashi was one of the largest battleships ever made. It was part of the Yamato class. So the Yamato and the Musashi were the two largest battleships ever created. This particular one, Wikipedia says there's 63,000 long tons in its standard formation, I guess original build perhaps. This, I believe, is modeled after the original build where it has these side turrets, just like the front and rears. But later on, the thing got torpedoed in 1944, and they decided to replace those turrets with a bunch of anti-aircraft cannons. This thing was commissioned in 1942, but it was eventually sunk at the Battle of Leyte Gulf in 1944. Let's see, 263 meters long. The beam is almost 37 meters wide, so that's pretty impressive. It had 12 water tube boilers, and that propulsion through the 4 propellers and steam turbines could get up to 27.5 knots, which is around 51 kilometers per hour or around 32 miles per hour. I mean, this is a massive vehicle. Unfortunately, there's no good three-quarter views. They're so far away you can't see anything, because it's photographs from the 1940s. But these three are some closer images of the real ship, color corrected though on these two side flanking ones. But I mean, look at these people down here, right? And these are just crazy big cannons here. Speaking of those cannons, let's see. I had to scroll down a little bit. So the largest of the, turrets or cannons, I'm not even sure what you'd call these things, but they're 18-inch diameter shells, or 460 millimeters across. So that's pretty impressive, obviously. And these little smaller ones are still 6.1-inch shells, or 155 millimeters across. And then you got the smaller stuff. So, I mean, it's a floating artillery vehicle. So, okay, well, I guess that's enough of the photo comparisons. Alright, let's get into the actual model here. So as usual, I don't use the stickers generally because the things are three-dimensional and these are going to peel off. So I use this large sticker for the flag, and I'll keep that for another time. Alright, so the rest is painted, and as usual I've come to learn now that you don't need to really put in these cross members into the hull, because so far I've never seen them actually touch the deck. They don't support the deck whatsoever. All they end up doing is causing stress marks in the hull. I do believe they were put there to maybe have ballast, so if you want to float this in your bathtub, it'll keep it sunk properly, I guess. That's the only thing I can assume why they were made. Alright. I mean, it's a model kit, right? So you gotta touch up a lot of the parts. There was some flash in a lot of the pieces that I had to sand off and trim down. The hull fit was pretty good though on this one, but the deck on one side for some reason doesn't feel like it's fully engaged, but it's kind of sticking up on this side. So, oh well, yeah, I didn't prep it enough. I would suggest maybe holding off on putting some of these things on until you get the majority of the top together, because I've broken some propellers off, and well, actually these rudders are quite strong. They're quite different from the other ships that have one tiny peg, so the rudders are pretty durable. I also try to keep the flag poles and the antenna towards the end because they are so fragile, and I don't glue them in place usually except for this one, because this isn't just a flagpole. This flagpole molds into this detail here, and it kept on falling out without glue. It wouldn't stay on there, so I'm probably going to end up breaking this off at some point and having to put something else in this place. So this one actually has pretty good turret movement, as you can see. It doesn't collide, at least the front ones won't collide with back here. But this one is kind of colliding a little bit, but this is the best posing I've gotten so far out of one of these battleships. So yeah, and then these can totally rotate around, so that's nice. I have to go back and edit this in because this is quite important. These turrets here, I thought were all identical, so I just put them in randomly, but they are not, and I had to remove all of them. So you'll see these two back turrets, they're pretty much round in their base, as you can see. But there's a flat right there and a flat right there. So there's a left and right flat. And so you have to have those flats next to each other, otherwise they're not going to lay horizontal. Like I had this over here and the other turret was all crooked because it couldn't sit down next to it. So be mindful of that. The instructions, clearly state what part goes where, but I just thought they were identical, so that's why I made that mistake. But yeah, you can see right here the flatness, right? So I wasted, like 10 minutes dealing with that. The fit and finish of this tower is not so great, as you can see. There's quite a lot of gaps going on, so you're going to have to be really diligent if you want to get rid of those. You're going to literally have to sand a bunch of parts better and probably glue it all tight under like some sort of clamping force. You can see I just even pushing it down. And then another weird thing is this. This can rotate, but it's so gappy. It just seems odd because they put these things here. I don't know, maybe to keep this from smashing down to this, but I was looking for another piece, but there was nothing else other than those hull pieces I just showed. This is one of the rarer kits where there's absolutely no extra parts. Like no extra parts in case you break something or lose something. So definitely be careful, trimming these parts off of the molding runners and try not to lose the things. Boy, what else? I didn't actually paint this area black. It's supposed to be further black down here, but I don't want to deal with it because see how three-dimensional it is? I can't mask that off. I can only hand paint it, but I can't paint the straight edge. A little silver paint in the searchlight or signal lights there. And then after I painted this hull with some Tamiya paint, I clear coated it with some rattle can matte clear coat, and that's what gave it this funky, like, dark texture. Like the clear coat absorbed or tore into the Tamiya. But actually, for me, it works out because it looks like a really weathered deck. In fact, even after this, I went over with a Tamiya panel liner paint wash all over this to make this lighter color look more like wood. This is not remotely close to the wood color that's on the sticker, as you can see. But after the brown paint wash, it got it closer. But it was really quite bright beforehand. But I don't really care about the accuracy. I mean, this is a cartoon ship. Okay, well, I guess that's it. Yeah, just some paint wash here. I put in some black with one of those little, like, water fountain, no, not water fountain, what are these things called? Calligraphy type of pens, water, nib pen, I don't know what these things are really called, I forget, brain fart. So those are really handy though to get into these little nooks with some panel liner to darken those up. It's a lot faster than paint, I think. And then after that, I did the brown paint wash, and then after that, I went over it with a Q-tip to try to get some of the extra brown off. I could do it some more, but I'm too lazy. I don't care. So let's look at a few other ships here. I'm starting to get quite a collection going. So this is the Kaga. So I trim off half of that sticker. This is a Japanese word for Kaga, and then I have my own English one because I can't read that stuff, but it's good to have. So you'll see, the aircraft carrier deck here is quite high. And the reason why is because I believe the Kaga was built on top of a battleship hull. So that's why it still has battleship turrets here. And speaking of battleships, we have a Fuso battleship. So you can see more of these hull turrets. It's quite interesting. It almost reminds me of like the Confederate days. What was it, the Ironside? There's that battle with the two iron ships somewhere in near Washington D.C. or was it? I don't know. I can't remember. Sorry. But yeah, so that's a battleship. But this was one of the largest battleships. This and the Yamato were the biggest ones. So it's really nice to see that the Fujimi guys did make this physically larger than that battleship. And I'm sure hull-wise, it's bigger than any of the aircraft carriers as well. I mean, look how wide it is, right? Maybe not as long, though. Yeah, well, yeah, so it could have been longer. That would have been nice. But maybe that was a long aircraft carrier. I don't know. And then I'm going to throw in a little mix here. The Meng model of the Titanic. And pleasantly, I think it works. Although, you just saw that propeller. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I still haven't contacted Bang. This piece was missing, so I can't have the propeller here. The thing was totally out of the box. You might want to watch the build on this. I'm gonna have to shoot them an email and see if I can get them to send this, because it's not looking good, right? Bad quality control or inspection there. But let's pop this in here. I mean, the Titanic was a big ship in itself, but I think they work, you know, as far as like having a cartoon fleet together. They're around the same length and stuff. It's good enough for me, at least. So, naturally, this is one of the highlights in my little deformed boat collection. One thing I wish this thing had, though, were perhaps the airplanes that go on these launchers back there. This is actually a very quick build. There actually aren't very many parts on this particular model kit compared to the other ones that I showed. So if you're looking for a really simple build that's quick, and yet you still want like one of the largest battleships of all time, this is a great one to go with. Yeah. So, yeah, just don't expect the airplanes. Alright, well, thank you very much, and we shall see you in the next Fujimi build. Sailing, happy sailing.